Hello everyone, and welcome back to Old Charles, your trusted channel for exploring the fascinating world of coins, currency, and history. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most iconic British coins, the United Kingdom 2 new pence coin. We'll explore its history, design, condition, and current market value. If you love coin collecting and history, make sure to watch until the very end, because you might be surprised to learn how much this seemingly common coin can actually be worth. The 2 new pence coin was first introduced in 1971, during the United Kingdom's historic currency decimalisation. Before this time, the UK used the pound, shilling, and pence system, which had been in place for centuries. But in 1971, the country officially switched to a decimal system, making currency easier to calculate and use. The 2 new pence coin was part of this transformation, introduced alongside other new pence coins, such as the 1, 5, and 10 pence. The coin's design featured the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, with the motto Ich Dien, which means, I serve. This was surrounded by the words new pence at the top and the denomination 2 at the bottom. From 1971 until 1981, the coin carried the inscription new pence. But starting in 1982, the wording was changed to 2 pence, which means that coins minted before 1982 hold special historical significance for collectors. Let's take a closer look at the design details of the coin. Features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The portrait changed over the years, reflecting Her Majesty's age, from the youthful 1971 portrait by Arnold Machin to later versions by Raphael Maclouf and Ian Rank Broadley. Shows the badge of the Prince of Wales with the coronet and feathers. From 1971 until 1991, the coin was made of bronze. But from 1992 onwards, it was struck in copper-plated steel due to rising metal costs. Weight ** 7.12 grams, diameter * 25.91 millimeters. These small details make each 2 new pence coin unique depending on the year of issue. Now, let's talk about the part everyone is waiting for. The value of a 2 new pence coin depends on its year, rarity, and condition. Most of the common coins from 1971 onwards are worth their face value, about 2 pence, especially if they are in circulated condition. However, certain issues can fetch much higher prices. The most famous and valuable variety is the 1983 new pence 2p coin. In 1983, the Royal Mint had already changed the inscription from new pence to 2 pence. But a small number of coins were mistakenly struck with the old new pence design. These error coins are extremely rare and can sell for hundreds to even thousands of pounds depending on condition. For example, a 1983 2 new pence in uncirculated condition has been sold at auction for between £500 and £1,500. Common dates like 1971 or 1975 in circulated condition usually sell for only a few pence to collectors, but in brilliant uncirculated sets, they can be worth £1 to £5. Coins in pristine proof sets are always more desirable, sometimes worth £10 or more depending on the year. As with all coins, condition is everything. A coin in poor circulated condition will be worth very little, while one in uncirculated or proof quality can command impressive prices. Here's how condition affects value. Worth face value or a tiny premium for older dates. Worth slightly more to casual collectors. Much more desirable, especially for older pre-1982 issues. These are the real treasures. A shiny, untouched 2 new pence coin can be valued from a few pounds to hundreds, depending on rarity. Collectors always look for coins with clear details, sharp edges, and no scratches or discoloration. If you have a 1983 new pence in excellent condition, it's worth having it professionally graded. The 2 new pence coin is more than just money, it's a piece of British history. It represents the nation's shift to decimalisation, the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and the ongoing story of UK coinage. Even though most 2p coins are still worth their face value, they remain popular among collectors because of the variety of designs, metal compositions, and errors. For many beginners, the 2 new pence coin is often the first step into the world of numismatics. So, whether you've just found a 2 new pence in your pocket change, or you're holding onto a rare 1983 error coin, remember that every coin has a story, and sometimes, that story can be worth far more than its face value. The history of the United Kingdom 2 new pence coin begins in the late 1960s and early 1970s, during a time of enormous change in Britain's monetary system. For centuries, the UK used the old pounds, shillings, and pence system, a structure that dated all the way back to medieval times. Under this system, £1 was made up of 20 shillings, and each shilling contained 12 pence. This meant there were 240 pence in a pound, a calculation that was not always easy for trade, accounting, and modern commerce. By the mid-20th century, it became clear that this ancient currency system was outdated, especially in comparison to other world economies that had already shifted to decimal currency. Decimal systems, where units are based on powers of 10, were far easier to use for calculations, banking, and international trade. In 1966, the British government officially announced plans to decimalize the currency. This was a massive undertaking, requiring not only the creation of new coins but also educating the public on how to use them. Schools, banks, shops, and the media all played a part in teaching people how the new money would work. Finally, on 15 February 1971, a day known as Decimal Day, the new system came into effect. On that day, the old currency began to be phased out, and new coins were introduced. These included the halfpenny, 1p, 2p, 5p, and 10p. The 50p coin had actually been introduced 2 years earlier in 1969, replacing the old 10-shilling note. The 2 new pence coin was part of this historic moment. It was designed to represent the equivalent of 2 old pennies, but under the decimal system, it became an official part of the new structure where 100 pence equaled 1 pound. The design of the coin was chosen to highlight national heritage. The reverse featured the badge of the Prince of Wales, consisting of 3 ostrich feathers rising from a coronet, with a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, which means asterisk, I serve. Asterisk. This emblem has been associated with the Prince of Wales for centuries, and its use on the coin symbolized tradition and continuity even during a time of great change. The obverse of the coin carried the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II. The first portrait, used from 1971, was by Arnold Machin, showing the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Over time, as the Queen aged, her portrait was updated several times, with new designs by Raphael Maklouf in 1985 and Ian Rank Broadley in 1998. For its first decade, the coin was inscribed with the words, New Pence, which made sense because the public was still adjusting to the new currency system. However, by the early 1980s, decimalization had become well established, and there was no longer a need to emphasize the word new. As a result, beginning in 1982, the Royal Mint changed the inscription to simply 2 pence. But here's where one of the most famous coin errors in British history happened. In 1983, some 2p coins were accidentally struck with the old new pence legend instead of the updated 2 pence. These coins were not released for general circulation but appeared in a small number of special coin sets. Today, they are considered rare collector's items, fetching hundreds or even thousands of pounds depending on their condition. Another key part of the coin's history came in 1992, when the composition was changed. For over 20 years, the 2p coin had been made of bronze, a mixture of copper, tin, and zinc. But due to the rising cost of copper, the Royal Mint switched to copper-plated steel. This change can be detected with a magnet. Steel-based 2p coins will stick to a magnet, while the older bronze ones will not. Throughout its history, the 2p coin has remained one of the most familiar and widely used coins in British everyday life. Although inflation has reduced its purchasing power, the 2p coin still has an important place in circulation, in coin collections, and even in popular culture, for example, in seaside arcade games known as 2p pushers, which have become a nostalgic British tradition. The coin also reflects the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Over 50 years of mintage, it featured multiple portraits of the Queen, making it not just a piece of currency but also a timeline of her monarchy. With the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, and the introduction of coins featuring King Charles III, the older 2 new pence coins now hold even greater historical significance. From Decimal Day in 1971 to modern times, the 2 new pence coin tells a story of economic reform, national identity, and royal symbolism. It is more than just a coin, it's a piece of history that marks one of the most important financial transitions in Britain's modern era. When it comes to the value of a coin, one of the most important factors is condition. For the United Kingdom 2 new pence coin, condition can mean the difference between a coin worth only its face value, just 2 pence, or one that could fetch hundreds, or even thousands, at auction. Collectors use a system called coin grading to describe a coin's state of preservation. This scale ranges from heavily worn coins to pristine examples that look as though they have just left the mint. Here's how grading applies to the 2 new pence coin. A coin that is extremely worn, possibly bent, damaged, or barely identifiable. Most details on the Queen's portrait or the feathers of the Prince of Wales badge are gone. These coins have little to no collector value and are worth only face value. Coins in this range are still very worn, but the main details can be made out. The Queen's portrait will be flat, and lettering around the edges will be faded. These are common for 2p coins found in circulation and hold minimal collector interest. This level, coins show noticeable wear, but much of the design remains visible. The lettering, feathers on the badge, and facial details of the Queen are clearer. Collectors may pay a small premium for these, especially for older dates like the early 1970s. Coins in EF condition show only light wear, usually from brief circulation. Most details remain sharp, and there is still some original mint shine, known as luster. A 1971 or 1975 2 new pence in EF condition will be far more appealing to collectors than a well-worn version. These coins have minimal signs of handling, with almost all details intact. They might show slight wear on the highest points of the design but retain much of their original shine. These coins have never been used in circulation. Their surfaces are sharp and clear, with no wear, though they may have small marks from minting or handling. Collectors value uncirculated 2 new pence coins much more highly, especially from the first years of decimalization or the rare 1983 era. Proof coins are the highest quality examples, specially struck for collectors using polished dies and planchets. They often come in presentation cases or proof sets. A proof 2 new pence coin from the 1970s or 1980s can be highly collectible, with mirrored fields and frosted designs making them visually stunning. Condition is especially important for coins like the 2 new pence because they were mass-produced and circulated widely. Since millions were made, most are common in lower grades. What sets certain coins apart is their asterisk preservation from 1971 to the present are generally worth face value. Collectors are unlikely to pay more unless the coin is a rare variety, like the 1983 new pence. In superb condition, 1971 to 1975 are more sought after, because many of these coins were heavily used in daily life. Finding one that has survived for over 50 years without scratches, dirt, or discoloration is far less common than finding a worn piece, especially desirable. The Royal Mint often issued annual coin sets, and the 2 new pence in these sets was preserved in pristine condition. Unlike circulation coins, they were never meant to be spent, which is why many collectors seek them out today. Collectors also pay close attention to whether a coin has been cleaned or damaged. Even a rare 1983 2 new pence can lose much of its value if it has been polished, scratched, or corroded. Proper storage is vital. Coins should be kept in a cool, dry environment to avoid tarnishing. Handling coins with bare hands can leave oils or fingerprints that damage the surface over time. The best way to preserve condition is to store coins in holders, flips, or capsules made of archival-safe materials. Condition directly affects how much collectors will pay. Here are a few examples of 2 new pence coins sold at auction. A 1983 new pence 2p in brilliant uncirculated condition sold for over £1,000, while circulated examples of the same era coin sold for several £100s. A 1971 2 new pence in a proof set might sell for between £5 and £15, while the same coin in poor circulated condition is worth only 2p. A 1975 2 new pence in extremely fine condition may attract collectors for a small premium, especially if part of a high-grade decimal set. In the coin collecting world, rarity and condition go hand in hand. While millions of 2 new pence coins were made, only a tiny percentage survive in top grades. Collectors often chase the best examples because they not only look more attractive but also represent the coin as it was originally intended to appear when first minted. A collector building a high-quality decimal collection will always pay more for a shiny, flawless coin than a worn one. This is why even a common date, if found in brilliant uncirculated or proof condition, can command surprising value. So, when evaluating a 2 new pence coin, always ask yourself, is it worn or sharp? Does it still have its original shine? Has it been cleaned or damaged? Is it part of a proof or mint set? The answers